Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. As of this recording, we have over 1,000 Sunscribers. This is incredible. Cannot thank you enough. When you become a Sunscriber by watching Suns Latest and Sunscribing, you are no longer a sub, you are a Sunscriber. Two apologies, and then one thing I gotta point out. I apologize for not covering the Spurs game from last night. I have no idea who won. I had to record this after the Wolves game because I had a busy birthday weekend. It sucks to get old, but you got to do what you got to do. I also apologize for this broken blood vessel in my right eye. I think I just sneezed really hard and really quick. I hope Coach Jordan not figured this out, and I'm sure he did. Regarding the Rockets game tonight, which is a nationally televised game, and KD returns to Phoenix, and I want the Suns to absolutely stomp the snot out of them. I want Mark Williams to go at Şengün, the Rockets' incredible offensive center who cannot play defense. I want Mark Williams to have a phenomenal game tonight. I just want to get that out before we move on to this is Suns episode 94. We have 1,000 Sunscribers, and we don't even have 100 episodes yet, so this is incredible. So let's get right to it. Quote, "They were talking too early, and I love that. When guys get too confident, once the pressure starts heating up, their eyes start getting big. They start getting scared." End quote. That is from Suns small forward Dillon Brooks, who talked enough for our entire team to shut up the Timberwolves. And you could see Anthony Edwards' body language in the last minute. Something shifted in him. You could see he was just like, I'm not sure about this. He wasn't mixing it up for the last couple of minutes of the game the other night. It was absolutely incredible. Before we get to the game, news around the NBA, and I think this is something we do need to talk about, and we'll revisit it at the end of the season when it happens. Former Sun, current Clipper Chris Paul will retire at the end of his his 21st NBA season. He is 40. You saw it. He's 40, and you saw it in his last season with us. Effective in spots, but he just wasn't CP3 anymore. 11-time All-NBA selection, 12-time All-Star, 9-time All-Defensive Team selection, the 2006 Rookie of the Year, 75th Anniversary Team, first ballot Hall of Famer. Chris Paul has nothing to prove, but there's two schools of thought on Chris Paul, point guard and little bitch. To be fair, there are more than a few instances where Chris Paul did little bitch things on the court. A lot of it came down to Chris Paul was just simply thinking differently and giving his team any advantage that he could. Some of the moves were a little bit like, even if he was on your team, he could be a little bit cringe. But if he was on your team, for the most part, he was the point guard. There's an argument for Chris Paul being the perfect all-around point guard, like in the likes of Oscar Robertson and Jason Kidd. Better offensive player than Jason Kidd. Comparable, if not better, defender than Jason Kidd. What other point guards had such a complete all-around game than Chris Paul? We're going to get to all of this when the day comes. I'm just going to leave it here for the official day. But just know that this Suns fan saw Chris Paul transform a bubble team that was getting very good and starting to feel themselves. Yeah, he got us over that hump. He made us a contender. I know we had Coach Monty. I know Book had an amazing season. But we don't get there without Chris Paul. Yes, I know we don't get there without Book. We really don't get there without Chris Paul. 2 games away from the title that year, and that was really exciting. Almost exciting as the game on Friday night. So the Timberwolves at Suns Friday night. I preface this by saying I just want us to play the game that we've been playing. I don't want us to get down in a hole. I want us to play good team defense. I want us to talk to each other. I want us to play gritty, hard-nosed defense and smart offense like we've been playing all season. And if it results in a win, awesome. Well, it resulted in a win, and it was a really exciting game. There's a whole lot going on with this game, and it's the biggest story in the NBA all weekend. The Suns 114-113 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday. Wolves with an 8-point lead. I was so busy on Friday, I couldn't watch the game. I was looking at Gamecast, so I'm just like kind of half watching it, and every time I turned away, I'd come back, and it's like, what's going on? They're up again. Oh, crap, we're down by 6. Oh, crap, we're down by 8. Oh, man, I don't know if we're going to win this game with less than a minute to go. Everyone trash talking. We did not quit, which is very quickly becoming the story of this young and gritty Suns team. Colin Gillespie had his best game of the season with a Dick Van Arsdale-style go-ahead jumper with 6.4 seconds left. And right after that, the other half, the two-headed point guard monster, Jordan Goodwin and Gillespie, forced Anthony Edwards, the guy who takes the big shot for the Timberwolves, forced him to give up the ball to Julius Randle, who traveled and missed a 3. Which would have won the game for the Timberwolves. Suns, and why would they take a 3? They could have gotten a better. They had plenty of time. They could have gotten a decent 2-point shot. They could have just heaved it to Rudy Gobert. That was a weird ending to the game, but Suns rally for their 7th win in 8 games and are now 10-6. The Suns are 10-6. No Grayson Allen, no Jalen Green. For the Wolves, Jaden McDaniels was a game-time decision, but he did play, couldn't make a 3, shot poorly all game. Take a wild guess who was mostly guarding him. We were down by 8 with 1 minute and 10 seconds left against a team that has not only had our number for a few seasons and playoffs, but we've also crumbled under pressure to this specific team. And we have to admit it, they've intimidated us. And it's weird, but it's a fact, and it's happened. I don't think this team cares about that anymore. I think this team has a very short memory. Remember a couple years ago when KD got intimidated by Anthony Edwards and they freaking swept us? Yeah, that didn't happen on Friday. You remember that BS from KD? Oh, he's good. Oh, no, he's like a young me. It's just like, tell him to shut up and kick his ass. I'm glad KD's gone. That's all you need to know about KD, as great as he is. That's all you need to know about him. With about 1 minute 9 left, Royce O'Neal's offensive rebound and putback started everything. He was also hacked, but no call on that play. 113-107. Under 50 seconds. A few seconds later, Gillespie steals the inbound pass. Gets it to Brooks, who gets it to Jordan Goodwin for a clutch 3. 113-110. 43.4 left. Brooks steals Randall's inbound pass. Another clutch defensive play. Goody. Another clutch shot. Gets a layup. 113-112. 21.4 seconds left. Anthony Edwards chokes after a foul and misses 2 free throws. 12.7 seconds left. This is where you could see his body language. And as Dylan Brooks on the quote earlier mentioned, their eyes get big. Anthony Edwards had big eyes. What happened? What did he say? What did he do? What was going on with Anthony Edwards? The guy had a monster game, and he's clutch. Monster game, barked all game. 41 points on almost 60% shooting? And he biffs those free throws? See his body language at the end of the game? Don't tell me he's tired. He's too young and strong for that. But he choked. Brooks and Book. Notice how I haven't mentioned our best player yet? Book had his worst game of the season. 16 points, 4 of 18 shooting, 9 turnovers, and they both foul out. Him and Brooks are main guys. So Gillespie is our guy, and he didn't hesitate. Nails a contested 10-footer for a 114-113 lead. Gets right back on D. Gets right back on D with Goody to force the ball out of Anthony Edwards' hands for a final shot by Randall, who missed. That two-headed off-the-bench point guard monster. Oh, my God. Suns win huge game over a team that has dominated us for the last few years. Coach Ott said, quote, just tough, gritty, competitive, together, and selfless. That's what we've seen this group do from day one. Whatever it takes, whenever it takes, whoever is out there. Whoever is out there. There's parity on this team, and I love that. And you can see that they feel that. They just find a way to outscore the opponent. These wins are big for our group and what we're doing, but it doesn't stop. End quote. You and I, we agreed over the summer that Colin Gillespie was a baller, and he's proving us correct. I thought, I think this guy's good. He might be a liability on defense. He's not. He's no less a liability on defense than Steve Nash ever was. And Nash, hated to admit it, Nash was a limited defender. Does it hurt that he's working with Steve Nash on a daily basis? I love that Colin Gillespie just feels like an old school 70s player. He's just a textbook tough guy. You got to love that guy. Colin Gillespie, 34 minutes, 20 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3, 7 rebounds. This guy's the best rebounding guard in the league right now. 4 assists, 2 steals. There are all-star stats, bud. You can just see his confidence growing. And this is a quote from Colin Gillespie. I'm going to get to it in just one sec. So the quote from Colin Gillespie is, where would it go? We got a really good group of guys that try to win basketball games, play extremely hard, and compete at a high level. And I don't think anyone thinks we are out of this game until the final horn sounds. This is all we asked for over the summer. Let's reset this whole thing, and this is where we're at. This is really exciting. The other part of the two-headed monster, we're going to start calling it the two-headed point monster. Jordan Goodwin, 29 minutes, 13 points on 6 of 9 shooting, 1 of 2 on 3, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. 4 of Goody's rebounds were offensive. You don't hope to get offensive rebounds. You don't luck into offensive rebounds, maybe 1 a game. You beat people to them, and you know what positioning is, and you know where the ball's going. Jordan Goodwin was as clutch as anybody, and has been as clutch as anybody I've seen all season. We are nowhere this season without these two. I'm very excited. Dylan Brooks, who talked enough trash for our whole team, as Edwards had a monster game. I said Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards is a superstar. He's very good. He's not very likable, especially when he's on the Timberwolves, but he's good. 41 points, really good shooting. He just doesn't quit. Brooks is an all-star. Somebody tell me Dylan Brooks doesn't deserve to be on the all-star team this year. 37 minutes, 22 points, our high score, 8 for 17 from the floor, 50% shooting, 4 for 8 from 3, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and not one iota of back down. And he fouled out on a couple of bogus calls. Mark Williams, 26 minutes, 19 points, 6 for 9, 7 for 8 free throws, 8 rebounds, a block, and a steal, kept Rudy Gobert at bay. Rudy Gobert is not a great offensive player, but he is an effective offensive player. Out-rebounded the bigger Wolves, who almost always out-rebound everybody, 45 to 37. I'm not going to go on and on about this game because obviously I'm going to start stuttering and just losing my mind. But the thing about this game was it showed you what this team is. It showed you who this team is. It showed you what Coach Ott has brought to the team. And the fact that Devin Booker had his worst game of the season against the one team where we really needed him, and Grayson Allen didn't play, and we don't know what's up with Jalen Green. We know what's up, but he didn't play. It says a lot about the Suns. So we have Rockets tonight. I will cover the Spurs game. As far as I know, Wemby wasn't playing that game. And I'm sorry I'm not covering it. I know some of these are pre-recorded. I just didn't have time to get to the Spurs game. But we will cover the Spurs game and the Rockets game tomorrow. Tall order for the Suns. All right, I want to talk about this because right after the win, a lot of chirping about the refs started. A lot of chirping about the refs in general, not just this game, but I want everybody to remember that like any employee at any job at any level, which means most of us Suns fans, I'm an employee, I have 4 separate jobs. I always work for somebody. I've never owned my own business. We are to a point at the mercy of our employer. To a point. If our employer sets the parameters of what's expected of us, what our job description is, and what leeway we have, and sticks to it, then that's most likely how we're going to behave and carry out our tasks, so we can get paid. There's no shame in that. That's the way of the world. Big boy pants. Adam Silver sets the tone for the league officials. That gets delegated to the senior officials, the referee committee, the rules committee, all the people that are in charge of officiating. But it starts with Adam Silver, and it's delegated all the way on down, like any other job. So when we criticize officials, we're well within our rights. They screw up, they blow calls, they sometimes even ignore the obvious, and they ruin games, and they do way too much talking, and they have way too many. They get in their feelings too much. They take things personally. You can see it. Body language, body behavior. It just doesn't lie. Regardless of what they're saying, see what they're doing. There's even officials like Scott Foster who clearly has issues with certain players. Prick. Or back in the day, officials like Joey Crawford who thought he was the show. Guys like Tim Donaghy for all of his wordage. At the end of the day, he bet on games. He altered the outcome of NBA games for money. Talk. This happened, that happened. Yeah, you were part of it. Jerk. Way back in the day, refs like Earl Strom. I have his autograph somewhere because I liked him, but as I got older, I realized he thought it was about him. He's also famous or infamous for favoring the road team when it came to a questionable call. Look up a guy named Earl Strom, NBA referee, and just see what people said about him. He wasn't a bad ref, but like Richie Powers, who essentially lost the 1975-76 finals for the Suns because he didn't want a game to end that way. That's ego. That's you thinking about how you would do it. And that's not the job of a ref. We shouldn't know that you're there. I know it's part of the game, but we shouldn't know that you're there. No matter the ref, for the most part, they are calling games the way that they have been told to call games. When your waiter or waitress can't bring your 5-year-old apple juice because the restaurant doesn't have it, you take it out on them with a crap tip, that's on you. Not them. Not you personally, but you know what I'm talking about. There are people like that. Well, the restaurant didn't have apple juice, so I stiffed the waiter. Well, the bartender didn't have Grey Goose vodka. They only had Belvedere and Tito's and Kettle One, so I stiffed the bartender. There are people that think like that. I've heard a few Suns versus the ref comments in the last few days. I've heard Edwards deliberately miss those important free throws. Just know that we'll probably never know what the refs are being told to call and what not to call. I know they're told to not call palming or pushing off by SGA. I'll die on that hill, but it's just not all on them. So for what it's worth, Acknowledge it, have a few comments about it, but don't make it the game. It's the same thing with traveling. Because the last thing you do when you get back from an awesome vacation is maybe you talk about your flight, and maybe the flight wasn't great, but it's the most recent thing. So we talk about our crappy airline flight with our crappy meal and our crappy seat partner. It's just like, yeah, but didn't you have a good vacation? Oh, yeah, Hawaii was great. So just try to put it all in perspective and balance your thinking when it comes to what we think is going on with the referees. And I'll end it on this. There's always something going on with the refs. And we're not part of the reason why. All right, we're not going to do our Suns Legend of the Day super sub. We will do it tomorrow, and it'll be Danny Manning, just to give you something to whet your appetite. We just have so much content today, but I wanted to get to your comments. So BYB Boxing, had to watch the whole game on the Wolves Network from Texas. Watch yourself in Texas. EJ, Eddie Johnson was definitely an amazing player. Yeah, he was our second guy that we did. Yeah, our second super sub. Our second or first? Who was the first super sub? I can't remember. Anyway, Eddie Johnson was one of our super sub legends of the day. I love how you put it. Never met a shot he didn't like. Eddie Johnson not only never met a shot he didn't like, never met a shot he couldn't make. Glad we have a list like this one. Gillespie pulled out the gutty win, go Suns. PJ Velasquez, Kuminga, don't want him, wouldn't ever want him. He's just a great athlete. Not a good playmaker, not a good decision maker, not a good passer, not a good finisher, not a good shooter. Watching him play in the playoffs this past season when Curry went down was a pain. He played at 100 miles per hour, and his numbers looked decent, but watching him play basketball wasn't fun. Not a great team player, and for someone who isn't that great at anything, he's not worth it. I think I commented back to you on the last Suns latest. I think I'm getting swayed into let's do everything we can not to disrupt the good and fun team that we have with a guy like Jonathan Kuminga. I think he would be a bad disruption. I think I've turned the page on Kuminga. Lost in Space. Nice handle. Would the Joker make a good NBA coach someday? Out of sheer fear of playing for him and what he might do if you screw up, yeah. But he's kind of cryptic and doesn't speak a lot. And I don't think his passion for I think he's passionate about basketball. It's just his way. But what he can do on the court, I don't know if that's going to translate into coaching. I mentioned it before. At 17 years old, this is a guy who was frustrating solid pros playing one-on-one with his cerebral game. He just sees things coming. I don't know if that's something you can teach. Wilt Chamberlain was a terrible coach. Magic Johnson wasn't the greatest coach. Larry Bird was a very good coach. I'm trying to think of Lenny Wilkins was a really good coach. Let me put it this way. There were great guys. There were players that were great players that became great coaches. There were great players that couldn't coach. There were mediocre players. Rick Carlisle, pretty good player, but no superstar, not close to an all-star. Great coach, championship coach. So there's that back and forth with it. So it still comes down to the individual, whether they played or not. I'm not sure if Joker would be a great coach. I also don't think he'd be into it. I think when he's done playing, you were never going to see him again. I mean, the guy won a title and he disappeared the next day to go do his horse racing. So, yeah, I still love the guy. B-Dub, time for Brooks to punk Ant back for what he did to us last 2 seasons. Thanks so much for unexpectedly reading my comments. Grateful. Go Suns. B-Dub, thank you for becoming a Sunscriber. I hope you saw the game last night. Gerardo, I'm glad to be a Sunscriber. I'm glad to have you as a Sunscriber. We all are because now you're contributing with the comments. Been one since 800 and wanted to say congrats on 1,000. Let's go Suns. Wolves are light work. They could have won that game, but they're not light work. All right. You guys, thank you so much for your awesome comments. As you can see, we're all pretty amped up about the game. Again, apologies for not covering the Spurs game. I'll get to it tomorrow. Suns against Rockets tonight. Remember, the key tonight is Oso, Nick Richards, and Mark Williams going at Sengun. Make that guy work on defense to tire him out because he is unstoppable offensively. He's a 25, 30 point, 15 rebound guy, but he cannot defend. Go at that guy. That is the strategy for the night. Bong. Go Suns.